So if you clicked on this video and you've never seen me before, I live in Belarus and I am an Australian citizen, and I've chosen to live in Belarus for a few reasons. Primarily, or initially should I say, it was because I had no choice because of COVID. It was the only country that was open. So I came here and then I got comfortable here. Yeah, the people are good, the culture's good, the place works well. So I was happy here, right? So I stayed. But what I'm doing today is I'm going to talk about some comments and questions that you guys have. So I don't tend to engage a lot in the comment section. It's a small channel, I have limited time, so I don't engage that much. Sometimes I do flick over them, and I've pulled a few of them out, some questions and comments, especially from regular viewers, and I'm going to talk about them today. So I made this video a little while ago entitled, "Is Belarus a Poor Country?" Yeah. And look, I'm an economist. That's one of my work backgrounds in Australia. So I kind of speak this language very fluently. So I'll try to make it fairly simple. But in a nutshell, what I was saying was that in Belarus, the incomes, nominal terms, the money you get is maybe about a ninth or a tenth of what you earn in Australia. Yeah. But then the prices are about a third. Or if you're a Belarusian, it's like staying in Belarus and just multiplying your income by 3. That's kind of how it works. Now, of course, we're not talking about crime, we're not talking about civil obedience, we're not talking about all that other stuff, right? Just purely in terms of money. Because whenever you talk to a Belarusian and they ask you, what do you think about Belarus, right? Because they're freaking curious because they have no interaction with the world, right? So they're fascinated. What are you doing here? What do you think about us? Like, what's your thoughts, man? It's interesting, right? So I've had this conversation a lot of times, right? And I rattle off and I'm like, well, look, things work. It's safe. There's stuff to do. There's lots of activities. I can go play tennis. I can go ice skating. I can go to the gym. I can go to the Bolshoi Theatre or any number of other theatres floating around. So it's quite a good life, right? And then they always say, except we have no money. Right? This is the conversation I've had. Fuck me, I've had this conversation 100 times. Right? So it's like, okay, they've got a bit of a point, right? They've got a bit of a point, but not that much of a point, right? Because they'll act as if they're the poorest people in the world, when in reality, when you take the 200 and something countries, 210 countries, Belarus' GDP per capita, obviously adjusted for price and purchasing power, they're ranked about 70th out of 200 and something countries. So they're kind of in the top third of countries. And that's just the point I wanted to get across. Yes, they are definitely behind Western countries, but Belarus is also growing quite rapidly, and that's the beauty of globalism. I don't think there's many beauties of it, to be honest, but the beauty of it in terms of living standards and income is that poorer countries catch up. Yeah, they copy the processes from the West and they catch up, and that's what we see around the world. The Gini coefficient is a basic measure of inequality that's shrinking. Yeah, around the world it's shrinking. Poorer countries, as long as they're functioning, they're not war-torn or whatever, obviously. But everyone else is catching up to Western countries, man. Western countries can't grow that quickly. Right, so the gap is shrinking. The gap can be still big sometimes. So that was the basic gist of the video, right? I was just comparing. Go check it out. Is Belarus a poor country? It'll probably come up on the first line of search results there. And I was just comparing it to some other countries, China or Poland and whatever else, right? Kind of relevant question. So this guy, I just somehow forgotten his name. It might be Pavel, but it might not be. But he's a regular viewer and a regular commenter. And he has a channel which is called Belarus Sushafa. So Belarusian in USA. So this guy lives in Ohio, I believe, and he's from Gomel, and he's commented quite a bit. So he's saying people that are simply materialistic and obsessed with things and nothing else matters to them, Belarus is going to be a bad country. That's probably a pretty fair comment, yeah? Well, it depends what you do, man. That's the thing. Like, Belarus is a funny place where if you want to get into the lucrative profession, which is, of course, IT and programming, then you can earn 5K, man. When I first got to Belarus, I met this girl. She was 25, 25. She was clearing $5,000 US per month, right? It's like living in the US, clearing adjusted for time or whatever, maybe 20 grand. Yeah, clear a month. Like, fuck, that's a lot of money. Like, you can't spend that. You can't spend that. And I know a few people that are pretty well off in Belarus. I've been in their apartments, and they've got so many imported gadgets from Japan, they can't even spend their money. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my friends has a heated toilet seat imported from Japan, classic Japanese technology. The bed is like this kind of weird recliner, like the head goes up and the feet go down, and like you can twist it. It's just crazy gadgets, because I don't know what else to spend their money on, you know. So, you know, if you are money hungry, you can really, really be in the elite class of wealth there if you get into the right profession. But as a general rule, you're right. I mean, you can't have Gucci bags. Yeah, you can't have Lambos. That's true. So you're right. I mean, you know, Belarus is more about functionality and safety. In a sense, it's a communist dream still. Yeah, healthcare is available for everyone. The polyclinic system works pretty well. All that stuff's kind of well priced. Allied health and stuff is kind of well priced as well. It's safe, it's functional, food supply is good, infrastructure is good. It is what you say. I think I agree with you entirely what you're saying in the comment. But to those who want ideal safety on the streets, have I emphasized how safe Belarus is? Look, I don't know who you'd compare Belarus to, whether it would be Japan, maybe Singapore. Where else is safe? Maybe Dubai? Dubai's not really a country, it's kind of artificial, you know what I mean? Whereas Belarus is like civilization, there's people here who've always lived here, it's like a normal country, right? Whereas Dubai's not. But I would say out of all those, I would say Belarus is the safest. It is. I haven't got any data to support that. And of course, data often doesn't mean much around crime because you need to report it and it needs to be collated, whatever. I saw some crime data for Asia recently, and was saying that the amount of thefts in Japan and Korea are 10 times more than what they are in the Philippines, where I am right now. And it's like, that's not fucking true, dude. Like, that's not true. But of course, no one reports in the Philippines because they know nothing's going to happen, so they don't bother reporting it, right? So, yeah. But anyway, I would say, just from having spent time in Japan, Singapore, not Dubai, and Belarus, that Belarus is probably the safest. Probably the safest. Peaceful country. Belarus is one of the best countries to live in. Yes. Has great nature. Yes, it does. Rivers, lakes, lots of forests, not a lot of mountains. Almost 50% of Belarus is covered in untouched natural preserves. All my family live in Belarus, and they all just do fine. They all have a smart TV in their room. That's the measure that this guy's using. And yeah, that's true. It's comfortable, and it's kind of an irony here. Look, we live in a tough time, yeah? Like, materialism and consumerism is just taking everyone over, and all of a sudden we all feel like we're poor when we're so fucking rich. Like, you compare us to 2 generations ago, wherever you live, you're so much richer. Okay, housing prices in the West, that's a complicated topic. Leave that to the side. Everything else, you're so much richer than your parents were, who were so much richer than their grandparents. I mean, even Belarus, like I've just said that Belarus is about a third as well off as Australians are. But my grandparents were in a similar situation to current day Belarusians, right? They weren't complaining they were poor, but unfortunately, we see all this shit on Instagram, and you get these ideals of how you should be living, and you're earning a few $100s a month. Or in Belarus, maybe $500-600 a month after tax would be kind of your typical salary in Minsk. And you see the Lambos and the Gucci bags, and you get jelly, mate. You know, this is kind of how it is. And without other solid kind of foundations of being told, you know, what to value, what's important, e.g., God and Bible, you don't know what else to want, right? So you see a nice flashy car and you want one, yeah. Even though you get the car, and trust me, right? I've gone through this process myself. You buy a really nice car or a really nice watch, and guess what? A month later, it doesn't mean much to you, yeah. The novelty wears off fast, and your level just changes. It just changes, yeah. Same here. When I just got here the other day, I just went to some random Airbnb, and it was a dump, mate. It was a 10 square meter dump. And I moved here, and I felt like a millionaire, you know, a gazillionaire, should I say? Like, really, even though it's half the size of my apartment in Melbourne, right? So it's all that kind of relativity, and you get that high for a bit, and then you don't feel so rich. So people in Australia, where we have more stuff and it's newer, That's the main difference, yeah? We have the same gadgets. In Australia, you just have newer ones. You know, you have a bit better car that you update a bit more often. You have, etc., etc. A newer phone you update more often, it's a bit better, or whatever it is, right? That's the main difference. But in terms of product category, we'll have the same stuff more or less, right? So yeah, I agree with everything you say. But yeah, in this era of bloody seeing it all on Instagram and this kind of obsession with self-pity that Soviets, ex-Soviet countries still have, you kind of feel like you're getting shortchanged. Anyway, thanks for your comment. I think his name's Pavel. I can't remember now, but yeah, lives in Ohio, from Gomel. Comments like, has his own channel. If you type in Belarus in USA, you'll probably find his channel. A good guy. All right, next comment. I made a video, why ugly dudes get hot chicks in Russia and Belarus. Why ugly dudes get hot chicks in Russia and Belarus. Because in the West, right, we have this kind of weird situation where men and women get together based on looks. Yeah. In Australia, you match up with someone based on looks. That's almost the most important thing. In fact, it probably is. Everyone matches up on looks. And if there's a discrepancy on looks, people fucking gossip. Like, fuck, he's done well for himself. How'd he get her? Or the other way around. It's like, oh my God, he's so hot, how'd you? Blah, blah, blah. So, but in Belarus and Russia, you often don't get this. Yeah, you don't always get this matching up on looks thing like you do in the West. So I just kind of spoke around this a little bit, and I said that, you know, a lot of relationships in Russia and Belarus are transactional, right? So the girl gives looks and hotness and sexiness, and the guy gives money and service, right? You kind of get this on different continuums a lot. So I just kind of explained this, right? Now there's a lot of love marriages here as well in Belarus and Russia where they get together for love, and sometimes they're a bit better matched, but you do get extraordinary mismatches of girls that are thoughts, right? Extreme thoughts, or thought lights, if you will, or girls that are just kind of more model beautiful, yeah, thoughts and model beautiful girls, right? So you get this a lot with maybe either thuggish guys, you get that more in maybe Russia, you don't get that as much in Belarus, or just guys with money. So you had this whole thing back when the IT sector entered Belarus, maybe 2013, you had this whole thing of like nerds and thoughts getting together, right? It was just like a thing, and it still is, you still see it from time to time in places like Dana Mall, you kind of see this, right? So I made a video just talking about this, just to explain why you get this, right? Why? Because everyone in the West thinks, fuck, these guys get these hot chicks, that's such a good deal. But they don't realise, actually, no, it's not all that meets the eye, right? It's other shit going on. So anyway, this guy's comment is, I've been to Russia 14 times. Fucking hell, that's a lot. I have a Russian wife, okay, and dated many, double many, that means many, Russian girls. What I can say is this guy is right. Well, thank you. But most of the Russian women I met were single. In my estimate, 40% of the female population are manless. And the Russian men that are married have 4 girlfriends each. Okay. Oh, man. I'll say 2 things. One is that in Russia and Belarus, right, with the exception of the big cities, and even in Minsk, they still get together young, but with the exception of probably parts of Moscow and St. Petersburg, everyone gets together young, yeah? You know, there's not many single people walking around at 25 in Minsk. Yeah? You go to second tiers in Russia, same thing, right? Novosibirsk, Kazan, Yekaterinburg, all the same thing. You don't get many 25-year-olds that are single. It just doesn't really happen. People get together young, yeah? So people get together young, they marry young. So you're either talking about living in Moscow and going to bars where you're going to find a lot of single girls, and therefore your data is kind of skewed a bit, or you're talking about the broader population because they're fucking divorced, right? There's a divorce culture, yeah, a very strong divorce culture. Divorce rates in Russia and Belarus are higher than they are in most Western countries, yeah? So that would make sense that people are single. But I think you're talking about younger girls, in which case your sample is skewed towards probably bars in Moscow and in a city, St. Pete would be my guess. And Russian men that are married have 4 girlfriends each. Well, yeah, again, you're probably skewing towards wealthier guys in Moscow. The whole thing about like women, Russian women being gold diggers or Belarusian being gold diggers, What gold are they digging, man? You know, the average Russian dude doesn't have a lot of cash, mate. Like, what gold are they digging? There's no gold there. So yeah, if you're a Russian man that's got 4 girlfriends as well, you got bank, mate. You know, you got a big business. You got the cash to support that. Very few Russian men can afford that. I mean, it's obvious. But yeah, interesting topic. I really appreciate it. All right, that's enough for now. I'm gonna make a few of these videos. I like responding to comments. It's kind of fun. All right, take it easy.